I am blessed to be today in front of you and share something that I really much love. It was revelation for me, and I'm hoping it will be beneficial to you. It's one of the oldest, famous story in the Bible. There is no child, doesn't matter, even if child is not Christian, I believe they heard about this story. It's known as a prodigal son or lost son. And tons of books were written about prodigal son. But somehow, story is not about prodigal son. There is other part of the story that somehow we don't pay that much attention. And I would like to make this afternoon, right now, I would like to make comparison between father, young son, and older brother, older son. Because I believe that there we can see the beauty of the character that I'm so in love with when father is in question. There is no better story that explains about this. Story about Abraham and Isaac, yes, it's a sacrificial storytelling, but this is compelling story. And I would like, by going through the story, what I find out is that we lost a touch. And let me try to explain this. We lost cultural touch about what that meant for people who were listening to Jesus Christ when he told the story. There is a 2,000 years of difference, cultural difference between Jesus Christ's time and today. And somehow, it not only that is lost in translating from language to language, which is minute, but still, I believe we lost that translation, cultural translation. And I would like to bring that in front of you and share that with you. Hopefully you will gain some new knowledge about God, or Father, about older and young son. Let's have a word of prayer. Lord, as we sit in front of you, we want to ask you to just forget our worries, where we come from, the reality of life. We would like to open our heart. And we ask you, God, to use this time to reveal yourself even more to us of who you are. And for us to identify ourselves with your character even more. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Well, everyone knows the story. I do just give a little bit of running through the story. You know that the young son was asking for inheritance. And that's culturally full of meaning. That you don't have idea how full the story is of meaning. I love to compare this with the pomegranate. You know, I don't know if you ever eat pomegranate. Okay, let me ask you a second question. Do you like dealing with pomegranate? Do you like opening pomegranate? No. Okay, I know it's frustrating, but I came from the country that pomegranate is down the street. You can just plug it and eat it. I learned how to do that. If you want to know how to open a pomegranate less than 1 minute, please talk to me. Only one thing, the price for that, you need to share that pomegranate with me. But the story is full like a pomegranate of meaning. The young son asked a father, which is unheard of in the Middle East, while the father is alive, to give him his inheritance. Somehow father swallowed that and let him go. And on the other side of the story, just on the other part of the pendulum, when it swings, we have a older brother who is actually in Father's house, live with the Father, work with Him, sharing a meal with Him. And his attitude is very interesting. He says, I work, where is my part? I believe that these two sides of the same story is having culturally and stylistically representing a same thing. That second part is stylistically, literally, cultural representation of the first part. Now you're asking me how, and that's where the story goes. Are you ready? I'm hoping I try to, when you put a fire and you start to warm it up, this is what I'm trying to do. I want you to be like, what he has to say. Because I learned this from read one book called Through the Peasant's Eyes from the author named Kenneth Bailey. Actually, the book is two books in one. And if you can find it, you can check Amazon. The author is called Kenneth Bailey, Through the Peasant's Eyes. We found older brother coming from the field. When you work all day, you feel that satisfaction of coming home and, it will be something to eat, something nice. And now it's coming home with a bunch of other guys from the field, and suddenly he hears what? Music. Now, in a Middle Eastern culture, music comes before meal. That means for everyone who is coming from a field, say, something is coming. Something is, there is a party. There is a joy. And for older brother, it's very interesting because he started to be suspicious. Because he heard and he located that coming from his house. And he started to be very suspicious now. Why is that? What is that? And in approaching to the house, he asked a young man. And young man told him that his younger brother returned. And father butchered a big fat cow and put big celebration because your brother was lost and now he's found. Interestingly, how older brother reacts, is it? He said, okay. His reaction was amazing. You know what? If I'm older brother, if I have that grudge within me, I will be obedient and I will do my work that I need to do, and then I will get, okay, now meeting, family, get together. I have something to say. But he didn't do it. He didn't even obey it. And something amazing happened. But in order for us to understand older brother behavior, let's just bring back to the younger brother. We know that he spent all that on an easy life. He's put some money in some stocks and bear bonds and some Porsche that obviously need to sell or was repossessed. Finally, he was eating Tim Hortons. And finally, that was not good enough. And he remembered that the slaves in the father's house eat better than him. And he said, listen, I am going home. I wanna go home because I know my father. I want to plea. And now, let me put this thing. When you have interviews or some important conversation that you need to have, about 2 days in your mind, you preparing for that conversation. You know what I'm talking about? You making scenarios in your mind how you will answer that questions on interviews, how that conversation will go. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Don't look at me like that. And we're creating our own stories within our mind, how conversation will go. I remember my Stephanie, my daughter, preparing herself for the first interview. Yeah, for the conferenda. And she was a wreck, nervous. And I said, okay, listen, let's go through let me do it over the phone, because she's in Kingsway. I said, let me ask you a question. And I ask her a couple of questions, then she now gets more comfortable in a role that she will have a conversation there. And when I asked her how conversation was, it was okay. There's a question that you asked me, he asked me also. And that's what we are doing. And the younger brother, now can you imagine? I don't know how far land he was in. What land? Uganda, I don't know where. And he's coming home in, let's say, Montenegro. That was a long way. And for all those days, he was thinking about those conversations. Now, he's coming home on that place that's going down, and suddenly opens, and he sees the land of his father. And suddenly on a porch, that's how listen, bear with me, because this is me, this is my imagination. His father was in that, how you call that, rolling chair? Yep. Right there on a porch. And he saw his son right there. Now, what the Bible said, what father did? He ran. Let me tell you something. According to the Middle Eastern culture, that's a no-no. That's totally unwarranted. It's very disrespectful for older man to run because he loses his dignity. That means when you go, if you go in Israel, just check how those older men are walking. There was actually an earthquake in Turkey. And the Kenneth Bailey was testifying about it in the book, saying when the earthquake happened, majority of the hurt people and injured were elderly. Why? Thank you. That's exactly what it is. That means, now, can you just bear with me? Father, dignified person in the community, running. That's like, can you imagine that jaw dropping in the people who are seeing him? Let's say there was a guy who was, cleaning, and he saw the master running. It's like, wow. But there is a reason for that. You see, Father don't care what other people will say when you and I are in question. When we're returning home, he don't care what people will think about him. He is finding his son. But there is another reason why he's running. Now, you need to be in that part of the world to understand this. I hope that you heard from blood feuds. Really? Never heard of it? Blood feud is when the two families, thank you. There are when the two families they had strong words, or someone hurt someone, and the other family has a right to kill someone from that family, and that was years. There is a blood feud between a family, or within a family. If I disgrace my father, in old times, not now, my family can take my life, no problem. That's called blood feud. That means for young brother to return home, knowing that he disgraced his father, and just for us to know, guys, we live in very beautiful country. I'm proud to be Canadian, but we lost something which called honor. We don't have a concept. Not that I'm saying that you don't have it, we don't have a concept, culturally speaking. For the face, for the honor, people were killing very, very easily. Honor is a big thing in the Middle East. Back in my country, that's what's happening also until 19th century. There was always blood feuds between the families. In the context of the young son, when he was coming home, everyone who saw young son can claim his life. Do you see the reason why father is running? They said that's the second reason. Because he is running, because he knows that him running is a life-saving for his son. And now let's go to the point one. Young brother is preparing the speech. Remember the speech? Father, I'm not worthy that. Oh, shut up. Come here. And by hugging him, he actually protecting him. Not only that, but protecting him. What he also gave him, there is a fool as a pomegranate in this story. He gave him his what? He gave him his sandals and robe. Yes. All to tell to everyone, don't touch my son. He is mine. Satan has authority to claim each one of us. But because God is running, amen, we have protection. Amen. Now, banquet is there. Let me bring this third point here, just for a moment, because I'm excited when I'm talking about this. The third point is, did you ever heard after this young boy speaking? Why? Would you just put yourself in that perspective? You don't deserve what you have. Is there anything you can say on that? He's totally put himself in an environment and he is eating and he is just grateful to be there, to be surrounded with love. It's reminding me about picture about Luke chapter 18 when we have tax collector versus Pharisee. Remember how they prayed? Pharisee, God, I'm trying to paraphrase now. Thank you, for you do not have a worshiper just like I am. I am awesome. And he mentioned God once, and 4 times he said, I. Now, on the other side, we have a tax collector who said what? Who did not even lift his eyes towards heaven. He beat his chest and said what? Be merciful to me, sinner. There is nothing in the life of the young brother for him to say, I deserve this. That's why he never talks. He just enjoying that grace he received. It's not because he is young and handsome and beautiful and I don't know what. He just received something that he did not expect. And he's speechless. What can you say on a cross? When we understand cross, the way how it is presented in the Bible, we are speechless. We cannot understand it. We just say, thank you, God. Yeah. But on the other side, now, let me tell you, I can identify a little bit with the younger brother. Do you know why? Because I was atheist. I've been through my experience. I will share that with you. It was really interesting. To the point that I'm now 48 years old. Did I just say that loud? Yeah, you did. Okay. And I need to do some hip operations. Why? Because I did some crazy things when I was young in order to prove. But I'm keeping you in suspense, am I? On the other side, it's really almost, I can a little bit identify with the younger brother, but on the side of the older brother, I can identify with that man 100%. And you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Just be with me for a moment here. He's coming from the field, and he's coming home. He heard the music, and that testified to him that something is happening. And instead of being part of that environment, he decided to stay away. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. Imagine this. He refused to go in. Now, I just need to bring you some cultural aspect. What is responsibility of the older brother in family, in community? For older brother, when the father put a party like this or the feast, he is acting like a special semi-official responsibility, like something like MC. Okay? He's going around talking to the guests, make sure that everyone is provided with a meal. They're going around talking, making fun as much as possible, engaging people. When you, according to Kenneth Bailey, in Iran, sorry, let me just check this. In Iran, yes. In Iran, he said there is a custom where the older brother, father, put older brother in the front of the front gate or door, barefoot. And he's there to greet everyone who is coming on a celebration, which means to say, I am here to serve you. Amen. Knowing that, older brother decide to deny his presence to the father. He actually, even in conversation with the father, he was so angry that he did not even give a proper title to his father. He did some atrocious thing with his behavior. Now, let me ask you, people who are listening to Jesus Christ, what would they expect for father to act upon? How would they like for father to respond to the behavior of the older son? What do you think? Actually, it will be big scorning. Now, I am against beating and all that, guy, just for you to know. But sometimes when we look at from our culture and looking in the context of the Middle East, we need to take them as is in their culture. And let me tell you, everyone will expect for the father to take good, the nice, long, because he's adult, I will expect maybe baseball bat, to give him some stern lesson. And everyone, there is that expectation that Jesus will, in his story, say, listen, now father comes in and give him a whooping. Everyone would expect that. That's the culture, because he disrespect his father in front of everyone. I just wonder what I'm doing in my life. Am I disrespecting my father with my behavior? It's very interesting. But let me bring you back to the sermon that was here last Sabbath from Pastor Ida. You were here? You like the sermon? Amen. I love when Pastor Ida put her personal experience and brings some good lesson from the Bible. And I would like to talk about that exactly same verse for a moment. 2 Chronicles 20:17, when Jehoshaphat, I hope that I pronounced that right, was told by God, take your position. Older brother deny a father to stand. How many times in my life when I know there's something I need to do, I do it because I'm angry and I refuse. God said to Jehoshaphat, stand, keep your positions, take your positions. Number 2, he said, stand firm, and you will see God's glory. Same thing happened with a lot of people in the Bible. Elijah, he was in a cave, and God asked him, said, what are you doing here? Martha, when she was in front of grave of her brother together with Jesus, and Jesus said, remove the stone. Remember what she said? Please, Jesus, don't. He was already 4 days there. Jesus turned around saying, did I tell you to stand? He said, did I tell you if you believe you will see God's glory? Sometimes we miss our opportunity to stand. Majority of people, but they're telling me that I'm not far away from any Bible character. I can learn from them. And that's why I love Bible, because it's real. I can identify with those, I call them my crackpots. Because I can identify with every one of them. They are fragile as I am. And what is amazing about older brother, he let his anger, his unbelievable anger be the source of his decision making. Look at this. He was living with the Father. I don't know how old he was, but enough for him to act as saying, I want to act to please my father, for at least culturally I will talk to him later. Not even that. Not even that he gave to the Father. Not even that. And now we have an older brother who is puffing and huffing and puffing, standing there, and he's talking to himself. He's making his own speech now. Like old younger brother, remember, he was talking and making his own speech. Now, the older brother is doing that, but in front of house. Now, let me explain you something, how the houses were built in Israel, or in that part of the world. Just like in my country, actually. You have the first floor, it actually was the living quarters for animals. And then you have stairs, and you have living quarters for a family. In my country, in my village, the walls are actually, that's like a castle. It was like a defense post. Why? Because the walls are 3 feet thick, stone on stone. And on where the animals are, you have only this window. That's it. There is no windows outside of that. And there is about 5 or 6 of them on one side of the wall. And that's a big, I think it was, size of this. And maybe with width until the balcony. Huge house, 3 feet thick walls. But you ask me, why those small windows? Any thoughts? 1, 2, 3, okay. Is to put a musket and to defend. Because my country was always in a position to be between Ottoman Empire and Western world. We were right there, like you can say, always on a brink, always in a war with the Ottoman Empire. Now, imagine this. He's puffing and huffing and walking and making his own speech in front of the house. And now, you know what Father is doing? Now, please, bear with me. What Father is doing now? He's in the party. He is the major person there. He organized. He is requested to be there. His young son is right there as the center of the party. He's standing up, which is unheard of again. He's leaving a party. Guess where he's going? He's running where? There is nothing more important to God than us. Doesn't matter what condition your heart is. He is running. He is running towards you. You think that we are defined by our feelings and emotions? See, God said, no, I'm running. I want to tell you that you are more than your feelings and emotions. I want to tell you that you are my son. And guess what? Father, moving himself up from the party and going to meet his son, going down the stairs, going and meet his son. And in spite of the insults, in spite of refusal for son to keep his place, to honor his father, everyone expects for father to give him a lesson. Do you know what father is doing? Same thing with the younger brother. He is running, and I believe he is having that loving compassion in conversation with his son. He's not acting the way how we would like him to act. He's acting according to... You see, what I'm finding out about God, he doesn't change his behavior because of my behavior. He is consistent according to his character. He is always consistent. Doesn't matter where I'm coming from. Doesn't matter what is condition in my heart. He is running. I can bet on that. Doesn't matter what kind of situation in your life are. Doesn't matter what you are dealing with. Is it finances? Is that a relationship? Is that a family problem with a marriage? Name it. Father is never on a sideline. He is engaged. And He's running. He's there. He's available to us.
Amen.
Now, will we listen?
Amen.
Will we accept that grace that was expected from Him? But that was given to Him, to us. You know what? One of the authors said, here, the father came out no less anxious for the older one and deal with him just as he had dealt with the younger one. Father come running to deal, to entreat, not to scorn or scold or rebuke, as listener would expect. I don't know in a history of the literature if someone hurt himself with the words and behavior just like older son. The young son was stunned by the awareness of the price that father put on him. And I believe we all expect that the older son will act similar than old younger brother, but no, he's not. And he actually came to the father, and in conversation he said, I did my work, where is mine? The debate between father and son now came to be a labor dispute. And the father said, come on, you are my son. I don't want a slave. You coming to me with the dispute of a slave. I don't need it. I don't deserve that. You are my son. We refuse a father our sonship. I refuse my sonship when I let my anger, who defined my decision, my confusion, my problem with identity, I am actually always putting through that anger, and I do not allow God the Father to be present when I make a decision. Older brother, make his decision, make his stand against the father because of his anger and his rebellion. Then what God would gain if he scorned his older brother, son, sorry? He already have a servant in a person of his younger son. Father wants a son. And interestingly, here is that youngest son, honorable sinner, was estranged and rebellious. And it was evident in his surrender to the passions of life. But older son, which we can call him hypocritical saint, was also strange and rebellious, but in a father's house. Is that hard to hear? The evidence of that was his anger and refusal. Then, what are we learning from this? What I'm learning from this is I can't be in a father's house. I can claim that I am father's son, but my condition of heart is like I don't know who Father is. Isn't that hard to hear? Only events of my life can show me what is really condition of my heart. This event show older brother that he was actually has mentality of a slave, even though father tell him what is mine is yours. You don't need to worry about that. It's yours. But older brother operate on the assumption that he needs to work for it. There is nothing that we can do that God love me more. Our salvation is secured.
Amen.
Our salvation is done. That's why I see when I compare younger brother and older brother, they're coming from the same place of estrangement. But what is beautiful in the story is that God, the Father, is the same in acting towards older son and towards the young son.
Amen.
He doesn't make a distinction because His love is all-encompassing. That means wherever you're coming, I don't know what kind of struggles you have in your life. I really don't. But wherever you're coming, God is running.
Amen.
Doesn't matter what kind of storyline you prepare to talk to God. God is saying, I don't care. Come to Papa.
Amen.
He don't care. He knows. But He needs just for us to come and enjoy the pleasure of His character. Implement that character. You know what I'm finding out? That we are very good. I am very good in knowing the Bible. Really. I'm just wondering how that what I know live in my daily routine.
Amen.
How much what I know that God is, I am portraying in my relating to the people. Remember I was telling you, if I come to your neighborhood and knock on your neighbor door, what would they tell me about you? What neighbor will tell about me? How what I know about God's character lives within me.
Amen.
That's why I can relate more with the older brother than younger brother. Because I claim sonship. I live my life with my Father. How that works in my daily routine. How I'm portraying what I know about God in my decisions, in my correspondence, in my relation towards my wife, towards my children, towards my neighborhood, at my work. You see, when the finally father finished his conversation with the son, older son, you know how he called him? Greek word just describes that. He never used the word hios, which means son. He used the word teknion, which means my child. Doesn't matter, we cannot hurt God that much that He cannot refuse not to love us. That means, my dear friends, brother and sister, again, I want you to know that God is running. He will never leave you alone wherever you're going. He will catch you in whatever position in your life you're in. He is there. He has an answer. Let's listen. Let's accept that. Let's not enjoy or harvest that anger that we somehow live 50, 40, 20 years because someone hurt us in the past. Maybe I was raped, maybe it was incest, maybe it was some financial burden that I have, and I go bankruptcy, and I looking at myself through that event that happened, and I cannot get hold of my life. You are better than that. God did not make a junk. God never produced a junk. God created you wonderfully. God has something in you that don't have in me. That's why together as a family, we can conquer the world through the love that He shows on the cross. Let's not deny God our sonship and daughtership. Give Him that courtesy. Try Him. I dare you to try Him. To see if He will deliver. If His word is good.
Amen.
Would you like to try? I dare you to try. Because you will see how awesome Father you have. He is there. And He is running. He is loving. Amen.